Well, hello there. My name is Adrian Pereira, and this is a short presentation about the software requirement specification document, also called as SRS, prepared by Robocode. So, to get started, let's go through what I'll be covering in this video. First, I'll give you an overview of SRS, the purpose, and who is it for, and what it has inside. And next, I'll tell you more about the SRS we created for our latest project. And third, I'll take you through the major categories of ISRS, which are listed here. And finally, I'll just conclude with a few takeaway points from this video. So, talking about the overview of SRS itself, well, SRS is a document which describes in detail what the new software product is and what it is supposed to do, and it also establishes an agreement between the client and the software company, so that just to make sure that they are all in the same page. So the SR is used by the client, as mentioned earlier on, to make sure that both the company and the client understands what they want, and it's also used by the project managers and testers just to make sure that the work is on time and on task. So what's included in the SRS are the user requirements, which is the most important part, and which describes the client's request in basically plain language, and system requirements, which are detailed descriptions of the system functions, and both functional and non-functional requirements, which kind of describes what the system is supposed to do, and highlight any constraints if there are any on the services and the functions which the system has to provide. So moving on to what RSR is all about. Our project is a MESA mapping robot project. So what this means is we have to design and complete software system for a robot prototype. Basically, the system is a mapping system which it's responsible to create a map of deposits in a survey area. So there are two major parts in the system, which is one is the hardware robot itself, and the operator GUI. So to make sure that we had all the specific wants and the needs from the client, we use two methods to gather the requirements. One is from the requirement brief that the client provided us beforehand, before the project started, so that we get to go through it thoroughly and then gather some requirements for the project, and also some client meetings which we managed to hold and get more insights and clarifications on the project with the client. And so in creating this SRS, the team had to draft out and then revise it a few times to get everything right for the document. So in the next few slides, I'll be just introducing you the simplified format that SRS follows, and we begin with an introduction and an overall description. Basically, these two sections just pinpoints the purpose of the document and the basics of the system. And the next section is user requirements. As I mentioned earlier on, this the most important section of all. So we list all the user requirements and group them according to what they have in common, actually, which actually we divided into sections, which is system initialization and map and control observations. So let me just show you an example of how one of the user requirements looks like. Well, here you can see that we gave each user requirement a unique number, and each user requirement has a priority and description and a rationale. And we also chose to underline keywords, where you can see here that the word shell is underlined, so that it puts more emphasis on that part. So next up is system features, the main section in SRS. These are the features that will be built into the software system itself, and addresses how the software fulfills the user requirements mentioned earlier on. And similar to user requirements, I mean, we also divided the system features into three major categories, depending on what the features had in common. So for this project, one category was features related to the operator's GUI, and the other category was the robot itself, and lastly we put a use case diagram which kind of shows both the entities working together. And there's another section which is external interface requirements, which basically describes the user interface, the GUI for the operator. And here there's an example listed out here, basically just describing the auto manual mode toggling button, which allows the operator to switch between auto and manual mode for the control of the over the robot. So this is an example which we have written on the SRS itself, explaining what that particular button is supposed to do. So these are the kind of things that will be explained in this user interface section under the external interface requirements. And also we have hardware, software, and communication interfaces, which are described in this section. And last section of the whole SRS is other non-functional requirements. Basically, these are the system requirements as a whole, and highlighting items such as system performances, safety, and security measures, and also limitations. So I hope that I've showed you how fully the SRS covers every detail of the system to be designed, and so it is for this reason that the SRS is quite important, because it's in fine detail. It helps to avoid miscommunications between the client and software companies or the developers. And it also serves as a reference for the testers to evaluate their progress as they prepare the software for release to the client. And also to provide valuable information for maintenance and future updates after the post-development phase. So that concludes this presentation. Thank you for your attention today, and I hope this presentation has been useful.